Hello, uh, my name is Ganesh Ramcharan, and I will be going over homework 2, question 1 to question 13. So, question 1 was to write a CS rule that places a background image halfway down the page, tilting it horizontally, and the image should remain in place. So basically what I did here, doc type HTML head. I named the title homework 2 question 1, and then we use style type equals double parenthesis, uh double quotes text dash css, which will invoke the css rules. And in that I did body, curly parentheses, the background image, URL, which I just picked a image off of YouTube, off of Google, and background repeat X. So basically repeat X is where the image will repeat across the screen on the x-axis horizontally. Background position is where I positioned it, which is in the center 50%, and the attachment is fixed, so the person can either scroll or they can do whatever and the image will remain in place. So as you can see, this is how I had it for question 1. Now on to question 2. So for question 2, it was to basically again write a CS rule which gives H1 and H2, header 1 and header 2 elements, a padding of 0.5 EMS, a dashed border, and a margin of 0.5. So as again, I did doc type HTML head, and then obviously I named it homework 2 question 2, and then we invoked the CSS by style type equals to double quotes text.css, and then after that h1 comma h2 curly brackets, and I made the padding 0.5, the border style dashed, and the margin 0.5. So what this will do, whenever h1 or h2 is called, it will give out a padding of 0.5, a border style of dashed, and a margin of 0.5, which as you can see is here. So my 3 favorite shows are H1, and then under that H2, which I put my favorite shows, One Piece, Wednesday, and Dragon Ball Z. Now on to question 3. So for question 3, it was to make a layout that contains a header and 2 paragraphs. So what I did is so I did HTML style. I didn't invoke anything in the style. The style just, I can affect how I want my page to come out. I didn't really invoke any like CSS or JavaScript. So for the body, which affects the web page itself, I made the background color black. The text will align in the center, and the color text will be black, which we just put color black. The box size in, we put boxed order, and I made the header a padding of 10px, margin right of 5%. I made the font size 20. The background color will be red, and the color of the text will be black. And then that column, I made it float to the left, and I gave it a width of 105, a padding of 10, and a height of 200. And the paragraph also made it float to the left 45%, a height of 150, a margin to the right, and I gave the color of the text black. So as we can see here, so the header, which shows the header, that will show the background color of red. The text is black. And then to call the columns, dot column and dot paragraph, we would put div class equals to column. So that would affect, like, this would be considered a column, like the box. And then p class, p would be for paragraph, and the class we made it equal to paragraph, so that way it invokes this paragraph. Float to the left, a width of 45. The color will be black, and it will align in the center, and the font size is 25. So as we can see here, I did div class equals to column, then paragraph p class, which I gave it to the paragraph, which will affect the text. And so I did p class equals to paragraph. The style, I gave it its own background color, which is plum. The border, I gave it a 5px solid light blue of a border, and in it I put, this is the first text box, which as you can see here, the background color is plum, and this is invoking both the column and the paragraph, and same thing for box 2. The p class equals paragraph, which invokes paragraph, and then style, which will give it style. I made it the background color light blue and the border 5px with a color of solid plum, and I just said this is the second text box. For question 4, very similar, similar to the question in homework 1. My favorite daily deal websites. And in here we are invoking CSS. So what I did, style type equals text, that's CSS. So whatever is in H1, the color will be blue. It would be dark, and the font weight, which is, it will just make it bold. And then for A, to call like the reference link, I didn't give it a text decoration, and whenever you hover over it, that background color will turn into yellow. So in H1, my favorite daily deal websites, so it's invoking what we put in the style. So the color is blue, it is bolded. Then P, I made a paragraph strong, which makes it bold. Click on any of the links below to view the websites I visit every day. Then I made another paragraph in A, so now we're invoking the A we had in style, and the hyper reference link, like, Instagram, which is Instagram, TikTok, which is TikTok. So like whenever I go over it, it's in yellow when I hover over it, so I could click on it and it would take me there. So say I wanted to go to YouTube, it brings me to YouTube. If I wanted to go see my horoscope, it would bring me to my horoscope page. And now that was it for number 4. So on to number 5. So number 5 was to make a text stroke on the phrase new WebKit features. Make the color a light blue. Use 3px navy text stroke. And set the font size to 700. So what we did here, as again, doc type HTML, title homework 2 question 5, then style type equals text dash CSS to invoke the CSS rules, and then dot word, which is like so dot word, so whenever we make the paragraph or the class equals to word, it would invoke this. So WebKit text fill color light blue, the text stroke, which we gave it a size of 3.0px, and we made the color navy, and then the font size is 700%. Then in the body we put P for paragraph, class equals to word, so it would invoke whatever is in dot word and the new WebKit features. So as we see here, it invoked whatever was in dot word, and as you see here, it has the fill colored of light blue, and then the stroke around it is navy, and this is what the 700% of the font size would look like. Now to question 6. So for question 6, it was to create 3 different div elements, each with the width and a height of 100px. And on the first element, create slightly rounded corners. On the second element, use the border of 3px black and increase the border radius to 50. And for box 3, for the third, same thing, 3px black and increase the border radius to 100. So we did doc type HTML, style type equals text dash CSS, and then the div. So with the div, whenever we call div, it would give us these, like text align the center, the width and the height of 100px, the line height of 90px, a margin of 5. The overflow is hidden and we made it float to the left. And then hashtag box, it's like the same thing like in the last one, using dot word. Hashtag is just another way of implementing it. So for the first box, I put the border radius to 10px, the border, which is black, the border width, which is 3px, and I made the background color purple. For box 2, everything is the same except the border radius is now 50px, the background color is now light blue, and then for box 3, the border radius is 100px and the background color is pink. So to call it, we would do div id equals to box 1. So what it does, it takes whatever's in div and it takes whatever's in box 1. And I called it this is 10px, which we have here. And the same thing, div id equals to box 2. And we said this is 50px. Div id equals box 3. This is 100px, which is here. B, just instead of paragraph, B will just be what we put in the boxes. And yeah, that's it for number 6. So now on to number 7. So this is using linear gradient. We tried to make it kind of like a rainbow. So what we did, doc type HTML, style type text CSS, div, which we used, so it has a width of 500 and a height of 500, and the border is 5px black. And the background color, we use WebKit, which invokes like the WebKit features. And then we use gradient. We called it linear. From the right top to the left bottom, color stop. So from the right top coming all the way down to the left bottom, it will use the colors we put. So the color stop just means once to stop the colors. So first we made color stop 16% violet. Then we made color stop 37% indigo. Then color stop 48% blue. Color stop 64% green. Color stop 83% yellow. Color stop 92% orange, which is like right here. And color stop 93% red. And then that fills up the whole box. So this is just saying like to find to get the colors. So like 16% of the box is filled up with violet. Then 37% of the box is filled up. At 37% of the box, then we use indigo. 48% of the box is now filled with blue. 64% of the box is now filled with green. At 83% of the box is yellow. 92% of the box is now orange. And then 93% in the rest of the block. The rest of the box is now red. So we just did div, parentheses, we insert that. And in the body, we just put the div element, which is right here. Now on to question 8. We had to make a little square just go around the screen. So what the code I made for that was style doc type HTML style dot box. I gave the box a width and height of 100. The background color is black. Position is relative. The animation is square 4 seconds infinite, which means it'll keep going on infinitely. And the keyframes, so at 0%, which is where it starts at the left at 0, top 0, which is the top left corner. 25%, it goes to the left 1300 px, and so it goes across to the right 1300 px, and it still stays at the right, so it goes from the top left to the top right. Then 50%, it'll go down 13, so it's 13 px, and it goes down 600 px. 75%, the left is now 0, and the top is still 600 px because it's down 600 px. And then 100%, it sets back to its originality. And then to call that, in the body, we just put div class equals double quotes box, which will invoke this right here, and then the keyframes of the square. So as you can see, it just goes around the whole page. Now on to question 9. It was to take one of the examples and make it vertical. In the example, it was horizontal, coming like this. So what I did was I just changed some of the code. So HTML, doc type HTML, link hyperreference. This brings the font of Rosario. The style type is CSS dot flexbox. So the flexbox has a width of 600 px, a height of 420 px. It will display as a box, and the box oriented are now vertical, so they are now up and down. Dot flexbox greater than div. This gives us the transitioning that we want. So it eases out. It gives us a second to ease out. Transition, another second to ease out. It has a border radius of 10 px. A border of 2 px, which is solid black. The height sets automatically, and the width is 50%, with no margin, and a padding of 20 px all around. And then the box shadow is a dim gray, a light gray. So I really just copied the code, but as we see here, in a second it goes from a light blue to like a dark blue. You can see the color starting to change. And then once I take it off the screen, it comes back off. But as you can see, when I put my mouse over it, it goes from like a light color to a dark color. As you can see, it goes from like pink to red with the light blue. Now, on to question 10. So what we had to do was include an image, include some images, and in the image should zoom increase about 20%. So what I did here was doc type HTML, style type text-css, dot zoom image, and we put image height of 200, width of 200, margin right 50 px, margin left 50 px, and then dot zoom image hover. So when you hover over the image, it scales by 2, transform by 2. BR is just break. Cause it would have been right on top of the page. And then we call the class zoom image, and I gave the pictures a width and height of 200. So now when you click over it, when you hover over the image, it increases the height. The picture zooms in and gets bigger, as you can see here. On to question 11. So it was basically to make write a script that gets the user in the radius of a circle, which outputs the diameter, circumference, area, and use pi value 3.14159. Use the GUI techniques shown. So basically what we did, doc type HTML. I made a header 1, aligned it into the center, circle, radius, diameter, circumference. Script type equals text dash JavaScript. So now we are using the JavaScript instead of CSS. I made function area of var radius equals document dot form1 dot radius val dot value. Var diameter, which is radius times 2. Var circumference, which equals to 2 times radius times mass dot pi. So instead of typing in 3.14 dot dot dot, let's just use mass pi because we are invoking the JavaScript. And then same thing for var area, which equals to radius times mass dot pi. For var radius, document in the form, which is just like this little text box here, which we can input whatever radius we have. Well, whatever radius we want. And then document dot write, I put it in the center, the radius. So once you input the radius and hit calculate, it'll say the radius you inputted is the radius whatever you put in. The diameter of the radius will be that. The area, this is actually, so this would be the circumference. The circumference of the radius equals to this. So this is circumference and this should be area. I just mixed it up. And then center, insert the radius, input type text. The name is radius val, and we just made it a size of 20. Did a break. Center, input a button, and then calculate. And then when it is clicked on, it'll give us the area. It'll invoke the function area that we put earlier and above. So let's say the radius I want is 5. So I input 5, calculate it. The radius that you inputted is 5. The diameter is 10. The circumference is 331.42. And the area is 78.54. Now on to question 12. So what we had to do here was write a script that reads in 2 integers and determines whether they are multiples of each other. So what we did, we used doc type HTML, the script type text dash JavaScript, variable int1, var int2, and we made int1 on the window prompt. So when you refresh the page, it'll give us like a prompt which we can input the numbers. And then we made a if else statement. So if int2 modulo int1 equals 0. So if the remainder of int2 and int1 equals 0, in the document it'll write are a multiple of each other, and if int2 and int1 does not equal to 0, then they will say they are not multiples of each other. So refresh it. This is the window prompt. So this page says enter the first number, which allows us to enter it. So the first number will be 10, and the second number will equal to 5. So it says here that 5 is not a multiple of 10. Refresh it again. 10, 2 is not a multiple of 10. 2, 10 is a multiple of 2. So what I did here, int modulo into the second number is being moduloed by the first number. So the first, so like 5 and 10. 10 is a multiple of 5. Let's say 8 by 4. 4 is not a multiple of 8. 8 is a multiple of 4. Now on to question 13, the last question. Write a script that calculates the square and cubes of numbers from 1 to 5 and display them in a table format. And the script does not require any input from the users. So what we did here, doc type HTML, script type equals to JavaScript. Then we did document write and the table width, which equals to 25%. The border is 3, and in the table head we have number, square, and cube. Then document write again, table row. You could put TH or TD. I left mine in TH. Table head, so it will just come out bold. Plus 0, so that would be in a number, plus 0, plus table head again, and then plus 0 times 0, plus the table head, ending of the table head onto the next table head, plus 0 times 0 times 0 times 0. And I just did that from 0 to 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. As you can see, document write, and then the next table row with the table head, it would be 1. Then we ended it off, then starting the next table head, which would be the next part, which would be inputted into square. 1 times 1, which is obviously 1, plus the ending of that table head, plus the new table head, plus 1 times 1 times 1 times 1, which would be the input into cube. And I just did that for all of them. And that is it for homework 2, question 13. As to go again, this was question 1. This was question 2. This was question 3. This was question 4. This was question 5. This was question 6. This was question 7. This was question 8. This was question 9. This was question 10. This was question 11. This was question 12. And this was question 13. And alrighty. Thank you.